Here on Jersey Magazine this morning on our Greetings from the Garden State segment, we're talking cider. Not just any kind of cider, though. Hard cider, Mike Ham.
That's right, Jim. We're talking Burnt Mills Hard Cider in Bedminster, New Jersey. I do feel like every time I come on here, we're either talking about music or some type of alcoholic beverage, which is honestly, I'm cool with that as long as
I
you're
don't
cool
have
with
a
that.
problem with it.
Yeah, I mean, those are two of my favorite topics, so I think we're good.
Although it might be a little early in the morning for hard cider, to be honest with you.
I don't know. It's very light, very refreshing. Not very heavy, like a nice way to start the day. But but yeah, you should wait till at least afternoon. I think that's kind of the cutoff point.
So, how did you find Burnt Mills cider?
So they actually reached out to me. Admittedly, I am not that big of a, or have not been that big of a cider drinker throughout my drinking life. But they reached out. It was a cool story. We've never done. This is going to be 161 episodes for us. We've never done a cidery, and there honestly is only five cideries in the whole state of New Jersey, I believe. So I was like, let's do it. And we went up there. It's a really cool space and we had a lot of fun just talking, sampling, and telling stories.
Given the history of apples in New Jersey and how many apple orchards there are, that seems like a low number, just five.
Yeah, it really is a low number. I don't really know why that's the case. I mean, obviously the oldest distillery in the United States is Laird's Applejack Brandy here in Jersey. And then obviously they go back to whatever it is, like the 1700s. And I think one of the things that I think is maybe kind of held back that industry a little bit is just the way that they're classified. They're essentially they fall under the like a vineyard winery category because it's a distilled or a fermented, excuse me, apple juice. Whereas wine is fermented grape juice. So they do fall under that, and Jersey had some weird post-prohibition winery rules. Only one winery per million residents, and there's 9 million people that live here. And back then, there was a lot less. So I think maybe that's kind of what's held it back. But yeah, five. But I will say that the ones that we did try that day are they've they've changed my tune a little bit on ciders.
How long have they been there?
They opened in June of 2020, which is a really interesting time to open a business. But they have a really cool outdoor space and all that. So when they first opened, that's when you could do stuff outside and all that. And they have fire pits, they do live music, they do food trucks all outside. So they did pretty well when they first opened, and then that kind of got them in the door with a lot of people. And even since kind of everything's been back to normal, they've been able to maintain that loyal customer base because their ciders are just that good.
Yeah, they don't serve food, but you can bring your own. And as you mentioned, there are food trucks there, which sounds very New Jersey, I might add.
It is very New Jersey, and it just like makes for a really cool atmosphere. I mean, like they are a smaller, like the actual building itself is smaller. Most of the building is dedicated to the production of the cider. But yeah, you can bring whatever you want. They do food truck events, throughout the weekends in the summer and all that, and it's just a great place. Dog friendly, food friendly. Obviously the only thing you can't bring is outside alcohol, but they're flavors and their all the different stuff that they offer does give you a good variety of things to choose from.
And I should also point out that their offerings are all gluten free as well.
Yes, naturally gluten free because it's literally just fermented apple juice. So like I noticed, I mean, I personally I drink beer and whiskey. That is pretty much what I drink. So, but I noticed how not bloated and not, heavy, even though I am heavy, but noticed how not heavy I felt after hanging out with them and sampling a bunch of their different offerings. So yeah, their base cider is like a dry, sparkling cider and really good. Like that's one of the things that kind of turned me off the cider when I used to drink it a decent amount, but then I stopped because it was just sugar bombs like all the time. Most of their ciders are on the drier side, so not super sugary, not super sweet. Um, However, I say that, but their best seller is their cider donut, which is literally like biting into a cider donut without actually like the salt crystal crunch that you get biting into it. But it's literally like biting into it. It tastes exactly like a cider donut. It's honestly, it's alarming how close it actually is.
I'm gonna have to check that one out because in the fall, that's one of my favorite things. There's a place on Morristown on Route 202, Whiteman Farms,
Oh
and
yeah.
their apple cider donuts are amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, if you're into cider donuts, I would definitely recommend. Like I brought a 4-pack home for Chrissy because she loves cider donuts as well, and she was blown away. So I would definitely recommend. 10 out of 10.
Well, and since you can bring food there, they don't serve food at Burnt Mills.
You could bring your own cider donuts. You could bring cider
Exactly.
donuts, drink cider donuts. You can make it a full sensory experience of cider donuts.
When you had mentioned that you were going to be talking about Burnt Mills, I'm thinking, I know this name from somewhere, but I couldn't quite place it. And so I did a little research on it, and it goes back to the Revolutionary War. And I don't know if you know the history or not, and I'm going to really condense it, and I'm probably getting some of the details wrong. But the owner of a mill got wind that the British were going to be in the vicinity and I guess wanted what he had there. And he said no, and he threw everything out. So the British responded by burning his mill down.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
thus,
rebels.
I think that's in Pluckerman,
Okay,
the
which
Pluckerman
is
section there.
which isn't too far from Bedminster, correct? I think that's
No, it's not far at
yeah,
all.
yeah. So I mean, a history of rebellion and drinking and all sorts of stuff here in the state, and apples. All the trifecta.
And that's coming up this week on greetingsfromthegardenstate.com. Hey, happy hard cider, Mike Ham.
Thanks, Jim.